Hello sim racers and welcome Friday night live stream, and of course we started the stream without being able to skip the intro from Assetto Corsa Competizione because the keyboard wasn't working. Yay, professional YouTube streamer once again. Alright, so how are you guys doing? Hope everything is fine. Hope you are ready for a fantastic weekend. Hello everybody in the chat, so nice to catch you back again. So what are we doing? Well, this Sunday we are going to race an endurance race at Spa, and it's going to be a 6 hours endurance race. We, as I said, is on Sunday 29th of May, and we start the practice session, 1 hour of practice session at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Central European Summer Time. So Italy, Germany, etc., etc. And qualifying 30 minutes starts at around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And the race is 6 hours, and the race starts at around 5:30 again in the afternoon. I'll be racing with Andimon, our moderator and server administrator, which we always like to blame. He's getting better and better and better. He's doing much improvement. And I'm not saying this just to, be sarcastic, but truth to be told, Andy was not driving for months because he had a little bit of an injury in his foot, and now he's back again, and he's getting really, really better, but most importantly, he enjoys driving again. So that is very cool. And so tonight we're going to do, of course, some preparation for the race as usual. We're going to join. We have a server that is about to start in about 5 minutes. What I would like to do is, since we're going to have probably variable weather, I would like to see if I can prepare a setup that is a little bit of a compromise in a couple of things, mainly camber, most importantly, and see if the performance is good enough with the compromise, which will also help us in case of rain. We might as well, forget about it, go full dry, but at least I would like to have also a compromise setup or a full wet setup, depending on how the race is going to start. So this is what I'm going to try and do tonight. As we said, we already have a decent setup that keeps us both very safe for the race. I'm not too sure if Andy tried a little bit extra rear right height. He will let me know tonight, I guess. And depending on that, we'll see what we're going to do. Let me have a look, first of all, if the race, no, the server shouldn't be online already. So, which means that we have at least 5 or 10 minutes of chit-chatting. So, if you guys have any questions before starting, I'll be more than happy to reply, and yeah, we can have a little bit of chit-chatting. I mean, this weekend is pretty great, right? It's as Stan says, we have Nürburgring 24 hours. Ferrari is on pole, says Stan. I didn't know that because I didn't follow the qualifying, but I was watching today the classic race, which was amazing, and in variable conditions as well. Lots of spins on the old cars. And we have also Formula 1 at Monaco, another important race. And we have also MotoGP at Mugello, another important race. So lots of things this weekend. We certainly going to be entertained. Monotone, thank you so much, mate. Thanks for asking. Yes, I'm almost 100%. Yeah, I am also, trying to train to get better as soon as possible, and I must say that my lungs performance is almost 100%. I still sometimes get tired a little bit too. 500, this is amazing. Yeah, I also enjoy this. Blazer Chigo 51 says he wanted to thank me about the race basics videos. He likes them very much. Very glad that you find them useful. I think that if everybody tries a little bit more in that way, races would be much better for everybody. John Smith says that Formula 1 race, there's not a Formula 1 race, it's a qualifying session and then a 1 hour 45 minutes parade. Ciao Sandro, ciao, buonasera. That is true, but it's always a traditional circuit. It's cool to have this race. I like it. Let's see if the server, no, the server shouldn't be up yet. Ciao Alessandro, hello. So plenty of racing indeed. The Simpit, hello guys. How are you doing, mate? Are you live streaming? Well, there's always something happening, Monaco is always unpredictable. Hey, Fernando, love from Brazil. And the longest NASCAR race of the season. We also have NASCAR race this weekend. Oh my God, there's so many things this weekend. Amazing. 600 miles. No, I highly appreciate NASCAR. NASCAR is one of those things that it's easy, to think bad about it, because if you look at it superficially, you just look cars going around and you see the whole spectacle and the fans that are just there and drinking beers and don't really pay so much attention to the race. But as usual, sim racers are the best fans, and if you have the opportunity to actually practice, train properly, and do a proper NASCAR race or IndyCar in an oval, any oval racing, you will find out, surprisingly enough, if you don't think so, that it takes an incredible amount of effort to do all those laps at centimeters behind the bumpers of the other cars, and having the cars centimeters behind of your own bumper. It's really very difficult. It makes you learn a lot about racing, not only going fast, but also racing. It makes you learn a lot about details, because in an oval the slightest detail, it's going to cost you just a tenth of a second, but this tenth of a second is a big gap in oval racing. And it's really cool. If you guys have, I know that most of the road guys are like, no, it seems boring, I don't want to do it. But if you have the opportunity to do some oval racing, don't miss on the opportunity. Train properly. You learn about strategy, you learn about making friends during the race, because they really help you. And it's really cool, really cool. Thank you, Blazer. Thank you so much. Oh, Simpit, you did sim racing news. Nice. I'll have a look at it this weekend. Fernando, yeah, fingers crossed everything is gonna be perfect, but I trust the guys, they will do great job for the 1.8. And of course, more will arrive afterwards, I believe. Hey, Stoic, happy Friday. Let's have a look if their server is up. Server. Aris. Yep, server is up. Let's also pick the car. The blue one. Yeah, let's pick the blue one. Let's go in-game like this. And pick this nice blue Centelock Racing. And in we go and connect. All right. PM game, does FPS affect the physics of ACC? Well, FPS always, frame rate, always affects physics if it is very, very low. But in theory, it's always separated, so the thread for the physics is separated from the graphics. Now, obviously, if you go under 60 frames per second, then it's not smooth. More than the actual affecting the physics, it's not like the physics are going slower, but you are going to have issues controlling the car properly because you are going to have, you know, stuttering and lag and stuff like that. The physics might be running properly, but you will not be able to control the car as well. So having anything above, at least on the PC, 60 frames per second and having in a way that it's smooth and doesn't give stutters, it is something that you need to do. For example, I cap my frame rate at 90 frame rate, which, although my system could go higher at something like 100 or 120, I believe, and my personal experience is that at that frame rate, it's very smooth, no stutters, no problems. It's always constant, it doesn't go up and down, and this is perfect for me. Let me have a look on other. Hey, thank you, mate. Thank you, Fernando. I think I'm missing some. Buonasera, poi Jazzy Station, posso saltare tu papà? Ciao papà di Jazzy, certo che posso saltare. Spot, ciao Spot, grande. Dal divano, fantastico. Facciamo entertainment oggi. Better FreeSync penso sia molto buono, Salvatore. I think FreeSync is much better. I mean, it creates less lag and less stuttering, so I think FreeSync is better. VSync, on the other hand, it's better if you eliminate it because it adds graphical lag. Hello, Tral. How long will close the gap of 6 seconds they give me? Alessandro, se puoi ripetere anche in italiano se vuoi, perché non ho capito bene la domanda. O se non sei italiano, chiedo scusa, I haven't, if you're not Italian, I'm sorry, I haven't understood very well your question, Alessandro Marulli, so maybe try again. Hello, Rob. I'm doing fine, thank you, mate, thank you so much. All right, so what do we have here? I've lost the chat. Give me a second. There we are. We are all in the wrong one. That's not true. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to connect. Alessandro asks when he will be available to close the gap of 6 seconds that gets from generally from other guys. Lost connection, so this is not probably the correct server. It takes time. It takes proper practice, as they say. It takes patience. But most importantly, it takes the correct practice and method. So stick to the method, learn the method, learn to be careful on the details. You know, many people look at the replay but don't catch the details. I have good news for you. 6 seconds is a lot, which also means that it's good news because you will be gaining and becoming faster much sooner. You will become faster, cioè diventerai più veloce molto presto perché c'è molto da togliere da questo tempo e all'inizio si impara e si migliora molto velocemente. però serve pazienza, pratica nel modo giusto e attenzione dei dettagli e vedrai che si fa tutto, non ti preoccupare. Alright, so here we are. What do? We have practice 26. Okay, so let's go and cut our setup. Yeah, that's the qualifying setup, so let's go to the normal setup. And ma figurati Alessandro, nessun problema, non ti preoccupare di venire nel Discord se ci sei già e continuare a chiedere cose, chiedi cose, siamo lì apposta per quello, per divertirsi migliorando insieme, capito? Rob Zombie, I don't know, but I guess everything above 3070 should be good, or something similar in AMD. RAM, I think 32 gigabytes is more than enough, as long as it is fast. Hello Cam, welcome back. Alright, so we have the setup, and I want to do a couple of laps on the setup. Well, first of all, let's see if Andimon can tell me if he tried a little bit extra rear end and if he prefers it or not, so that I can adjust the setup. So I will be waiting for Andimon to reply. Marchetti says GT3 under compression, l'incidenza varia. You mean as, cioè intendi come cambia secondo la macchina va in compressione, se cambia anche tutta l'incidenza della macchina? Beh sì, chiaro, assolutamente cambia ovviamente l'incidenza dell'ala posteriore, per quello che se hai la sospensione più morbida e dietro la macchina si comprime ad alta velocità, guadagna ancora più velocità perché anche l'ala dietro ha una incidenza minore, tutto collegato. Salvatore significa che ti serve più allenamento, succede anche a me, ma ti serve più allenamento in modalità qualifica, che non è importante, però meglio se fai i tempi migliori in gara. Ciao To! You messaged me twice about the setup. Blah 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 blah. And now I have to fight, but the problem is that, you know, Andimon, when either talks in voice or messages, he doesn't send you just a single message with, like, I don't know, new setup, nice, I like it, thank you, whatever. No, he will go on for the whole life, the universe, and everything, right? And maybe somewhere in there, I have to scroll like 5 pages, he might be saying, yeah, not bad, that's it, and I have to understand from this. Hey Patrick, thank you mate. I cannot answer for any kind of future content, because also I don't know, amongst other things. So, where the fuck should I find out if he liked the setup or not? There are millions of... Yes, it's one bloody line, but it's one bloody line in the middle of 1,000 bloody lines. So, I mean, it would be nice if you tell me 64 or 63 or 62 is fine. Just write it on the damn chat. That's all I need, mate. Oh my god. It's the last message. Ah, here it is. Even one click up. So, do you want one? Do you want more than one? How much do you want? Talk to me. No, don't talk to me. Tell me one thing. L'incidenza inteso come angolo del caster? No, non varia mentre va in compressione. Allora, attenzione, non varia, è relativo. Se la cinematica della sospensione è tale per farla variare, allora potrebbe variare, ma roba veramente, ho visto delle cose assurde, anche se alcune macchine hanno talmente tanto anti-dive. Vabbè. One click up. Thank you so much. You're so kind. Thank you so much for giving me all your attention and letting me know what you prefer. So let's go up to 63 here. For sure, I don't know what to tell you exactly, Marchetti. Non so esattamente cosa dirti, Marchetti, perché in realtà non me ne occupo di quello, perché anche se succede, me ne frego, fra virgolette, perché se noi abbiamo messo dentro i valori giusti della fisica come geometria delle sospensioni, poi diventa automatico, capito? Perciò se in compressione cambia leggermente il caster, lo farà senz'altro, perché la geometria è quella della macchina vera, perciò lo farà. Non vado lì a dire devo controllare se il caster cambia di là di... No, lì è cinematica, non può andare diversamente se, capito, i bracci sono rigidi, capisci? Andiamo quiz. Have you seen the qualifying? No, I haven't seen the qualifying of 24 hours. I was watching today a little bit of the classic race. Oh, Voodoo Child is simulated, yeah. Okay, should I do? Yeah, let me do a couple of. I mean, we've already went ahead for 10 minutes. So let's do. Oh wait, I want to know what fuel I have. Okay, so let's go up with the fuel as much as possible, and let's do a couple of laps. Ma guarda, Marchetti, è vero che sono anch'io un po' colpevole di questa... My God, my son switched off the steering wheel, and now I won't have force feedback, that I will be forced to go out and back in again. Usually he always leaves everything off. Today he decided to switch it off. Good boy. So okay, maybe. So this is a little bit about the anti-dive. It is a little bit my fault, because obviously I told you that the Mercedes have a lot of anti-dive and it is so different. That is true, but it's also true that pretty much all the cars have anti-dive, and that is quad in their geometry. This is what modern cars have. Even some street cars have it, but especially those cars, all of them have anti-dive. It's just that the Mercedes is particularly pronounced, at least by looking at the arms of the suspension. But again, I mean, that doesn't mean that other cars do not have anti-dive. Sì, Marchetti, infatti, come dicevo, a noi arriva, o abbiamo misurato i punti di attacco della sospensione, no? E i punti di attacco sul hub. Li metti e ovviamente poi il sistema calcola tutti i possibili movimenti che la sospensione può fare con questi attacchi tridimensionali. Non può muoversi diversamente, perciò se noi abbiamo misurato giusto, o se il costruttore ci ha dato i dati corretti, la sospensione non ha nient'altro da fare che eseguire i movimenti, quelli che ci sono, insomma. Ciao Truccalo. Jose, thanks so much, mate, for the advice. The problem is that we both have to drive the car, and we have both to be, you know, safe and happy with the setup. So, and because we have to race, you know, for 6 hours, it's more important for us, which we are not alien, la DAI, per essere sicuro che... Oh, I've lost connection again. right. So it seems that I've lost connection again. And it seems that it is one of those nights, but because I have a suspicion about it, if you guys can wait a little bit, I'll reset a little bit of things and I'll be back in a minute. Alright guys? So I'll be back in a minute. Give me like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I'll be right back. Because I want to reset the router, take off an extender of the range which causes problems, I found out. So I'll be right back. Give me a second. Back, and again, sorry for that, guys. As I was saying, I had this range extender for the Wi-Fi, which was always giving issues, and I wasn't using it. But I needed some Wi-Fi in the garage because the Tesla wants to download updates as usual, and I said, okay, I will use it in the garage. And it seems that after some days of working, it started messing with the main modem, router, everything, and brings everything under corruption and suffocates the whole system, and continuous resets of the system start, and of course I'm losing connection. I think it's that. It's not 100% sure, but I think it's that. We'll see if it's gonna work. I have resetted everything and took off the extender, so hopefully this is going to be yes, it's range extender instead of range extender. Again, sorry about that, guys, but you have to do what you have to do. All right, so we are back and inside the server, and yeah, the we're connected again. Hey, Steliano! Nice, very nice. Honestly, I haven't. I don't remember to have extra, extra wear on my tires instead of other cars. I haven't noticed this kind of, but probably we're going too slow. No, it's not beneficial to Dave. It's not beneficial to have equal ohmi values, because then you're gonna have more wear on the outside. You want to have more temperature on the inside, so that the wear is then more correct during the turns. Ciao Larry, no, correrò con Andy questa volta, Alfredo non c'è. So, alright, so here, and the setup, we need to load the setup. And we need to go up to 63. There are no curbs effects. They come directly from the curbs and the tires. So Hakan, I'm sorry about that, but there is no separated curbs effects. V3 inverted pedals, are those the same V3 that are just inverted? I don't know. I have the V3 normals. All right, so let's go and do a couple of laps. We'll see if we can finally drive a little bit. A little bit tired tonight. Hello, Justex. Hey, Alpha. Hi, mate. Good. Cold tires. Hey, Spot! Ma figurati. Ragazzo di una certa età. Grazie per il ragazzo. Unders there. It's a bit difficult for me to read the chat now. Just lost a lot of pressure, I guess, by jumping on this curb. Sì, Marchetti, questo è abbastanza giusto, sì. Ovviamente dipende anche molto dal bump steer che ha la macchina e come cambia il toe, però... Hey Maverick, thank you mate, yeah, we're looking forward as well. For fuck's sake tonight. Yeah, I have been disconnected from the server as well. That's not positive, so that means that I don't know what is happening and why it is happening. I don't know what is going on, honestly, and why this is like that. I don't even know if I'm online right now or not. Hope you guys can see me. Yes, it works. Alright, let's go. So, you know what, guys, I'm getting a little bit fed up with this. So, I just hit a 219, I think, flat. He looks so calm, and yet I'm raging. So, okay, so let's do this. Let's go down to something like 2.9. All right, and down to 3.6 here, and see if we can do again 219 or 218. And the reason I'm doing this is because if this could be a hybrid, you know, a hybrid setup, which means that if it rains, it will work good enough also with the wet tires. So I want to see if it's possible to drive this setup in without losing too much performance in dry tires and slicks. No, more camber. We always talk about negative camber, so more camber means more negative number. So because of the rules of Pirelli, the negative camber we can run on those cars and tires is always quite limited. The tires would work better even with more car, but for safety reasons they are limiting the negative camber at minus 0.3.5 or something like that. So that's why we are running pretty much flat out all the max negative camber we can do. But the wet tires work better with a little bit less negative camber, so more positive camber. So they work better to something around minus 3 degrees, minus 2.8 degrees, something like that. So if you're running a wet setup with wet tires, you want less negative camber. And what I'm trying here now is to see if I can do a hybrid setup which works decently with the slick tires as well as with the wet tires if it rains. So let's see. Now the balance is a little bit strange here, but we'll see. I mean, I still need to heat up the tires. I don't know what is happening lately, honestly. I mean, I didn't have any issues in the last couple of streams. No issues at all. So it's strange that now it got back again. Something is fishy, but I don't know what.
Yellow flag in sector 2.
Okay, so good news, I can do Horus and Edilon flat out still, even with less camber.
Yellow flag ahead, watch out in front.
Seems like I have more rotation because I have less camber at the rear. That might not be good for Andy, so we'll need to find a compromise into that. Well, the car doesn't seem to be slow.
Yellow flag ahead, watch out in front.
It rotates a little bit more. We could use a little bit of positive toe to take off the rotation. Hey Niels, welcome to the channel. time is definitely slower. Let's see if we can go faster. And Amos, welcome to the channel as well, and Katsimieras, welcome guys. Yeah, there's definitely more rotation now. Went too deep inside the turn and the braking zone. Rob, I won't bash you, but mate, every single live stream I keep telling everybody, and you as well, that you need to ask on the official channels, and all the information you're gonna get for next updates and stuff like that is always from the official channels. So I don't know how many times I have to repeat that, but most importantly, you don't gain anything if I keep asking the same thing, because I don't know. It all comes from the official channels, as usual. Alright, let's see if we can do a decent lap.
Yellow flag ahead, watch out. Car on the right. Clear on the right. Yellow flag in sector 2.
Yeah, too much rotation here. Hey, Tokita! Hey, thank you, mate. Thank you so much for the support, mate. Thanks, buddy. Hi to Brazil. Alright, let's fix a little bit the setup and make it more similar to as it was before.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
The pressures are a little bit too high also. Why is that? Pressures are definitely higher, I don't know why. That's strange, because the temperatures are... That's a little bit strange. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. That's strange, honestly. Okay, so let me add a little bit of toe here. See if we can improve the rear end rotation. is... Oh, the lower right here, you're gonna have it from softer springs at higher speed. Not sure if I get exactly what you mean or if you understand exactly how it works. The anti-roll only works during corners, when the car rolls. Anti-roll only when the car rolls. The spring works always, also on bumps, also on the downforce, on high speed, always.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Hey, it's Andimon. Hello.
Yellow flag in sector 1.
Perché di solito marchetti col diffusore più pronunciato significa che la macchina fa più aerodinamica dal diffusore e allora di solito è più sensibile al beccheggio e di conseguenza quando vai al beccheggio, cioè turn in eccetera, il cambio del bilanciamento aerodinamico si sente di più alla guida, mentre quando la macchina fa più deportazza con l'ala, no? L'ala non sposta l'aerodinamica avanti e indietro col beccheggio e perciò non senti così tanta differenza. Well, Charlie, think what happens, for example, when you are over a curb. If you have lots of curbs, you need to go over lots of curbs, or there is a very bumpy track, okay, a very stiff anti-roll bar will provoke instability and loss of traction, if it's stiff at the rear, of course, because you're gonna have added stiffness every time the suspension goes up and down differently left and right, okay? This doesn't happen with the springs. The springs is independent for every side of the car. The anti-roll bar always connects left and right together of the same axis. So if you have more bumps and you have more bumpy road on the circuit, it's better if you use a softer anti-roll bar, okay? And stiffer springs, for example. But if you have very smooth road with high speed turns, I don't like this so much. With high speed turns, and you also have chicane where you need fast reactions, then a stiffer anti-bar is better.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Yeah, I'm not very concentrated right now. The connection seems better, famous last words. Yeah, softer springs will put the car closer to the ground, and you're gonna gain a little bit in terms of aerodynamic resistance, that's for sure. Softer springs also means that you are going to have aero instabilities. So can you deal with that? If you can deal with that, fine. If not, I mean, softer springs at Monza is great for top speed, but then you go and get curves at Ascari and the car bottoms down and it's a mess. So it's always a compromise that you need to find. And it's always a compromise also depending on your priorities. So, for example, many people will tell you, no, do this, do that, you are gonna gain. And yeah, but honestly, if you are racing for the top 10, top 20, whatever, not for the #1 absolute win, all right, between aliens, I always prefer to have a more predictable and easy to deal with setup than, you know, outmost performance that might give me one perfect lap and then do errors and mistakes in other laps and lose tons of time. A predictable setup will keep you consistent, and consistency is what brings the result home, always. I'm braking better though. Yeah, but I'm still like 1 second slower. Whatever. Anyway, so I didn't manage to find a very good compromise instantly. So we'll now abandon this and go to our qualifying setup, and then we will you know, we will try it again.
You look so calm. I mean,
You look so calm.
happy being the fastest man currently.
Because it was 1 hour ago already, so now I'm calm. No, but it's good, but it's 24-hour race.
And how important is qualifying to you in a 24-hour race?
I mean, it's not really important because it's 24 hours also. You can start at 40, you can win, but it's important for the first 3-4 hours to be out of the race. It's quite important, and it's always nice to be in front of everyone.
All good so far. Let's see if you can keep it up. Thank you. Now you're currently P15. Do you think you can go faster than I qualifying? I think you can.
I don't know, but I look so calm and amazing.
Was okay, but we had a bit of traffic and could have been better. And we changed everything on car.
All right, so
So we could improve our time, unfortunately.
let's go here.
Now we tried to brake, so
At least the pressures weren't bad, but it was so high before. I don't know why.
there's so much experience in these rally tires.
Strange.
So we're trying to work it out with one shot to go. So it's quite a bit different. It's obviously a different concept.
Okay, let's try.
But it's a really cool car to drive. You have to work at it, and it's fun. And it's quite a challenge. And it's I like it. I think it suits my driving style. So it's nice. Everything was new, and in the beginning it was quite a lot to learn. Now since the
Cool stuff, Rob.
really well, so I think it's really cool.
But do keep in mind though that the anti-roll bars for usual, you know, high performance cars are much softer than a race anti-roll
Green
bar.
light, go, go, go.
It's completely different. And there are also other things to keep in mind. So a street car is usually heavier than a race car. It has no downforce. All that stuff add or take off from the stiffness of the setup. Yeah, of course the setup. I mean, if you have a car that, for example, modern cars like the M4 and the Audi Evo 2 have a different aerodynamic setup that is less sensitive to pitch, and that means you can run softer setups without having too much of pitch sensitive aereo that brings, you know, oversteer at turn in and understeer at exit. So of course the design of the car makes a big difference on what kind of setup you're gonna use afterwards. as well as the driver's driving technique, as well as the circuit where you're going to race. So everything counts. Yeah, I mean, if you start with a good base and then use the setup mode, you can really find extra speed with no problem. Hey, Fernando, welcome back. Got into traffic. Blazer, absolutely what you need to do is exactly that. So what you need to do is exactly that. So you need to be very analytical at each corner and understand, okay, entry, how do I feel? Apex, how do I feel? Exit, how do I feel the car? This is what you need to do in order to understand and get better with the car and your driving, and find more performance and more consistency. And you also need to understand, and do the correct questions. It's even more important than try to find the correct answers, because sometimes, for example, you go into a turn and you say, how I feel the car, understeer. So the car has understeer. Well, are you sure that you're not entering the corner way too fast, turning way too much the steering wheel, and having, you are applying way too much braking? You need to analyze this first, because the driving technique is what makes the big difference on how you feel the car. And after that, then you can start to, think, okay, it's either the car that has an issue here or my driving also. So maybe I can do a little bit of a change to the setup to help both the car and my driving style to be better together. Hey Tom, thank you so much for the nice word, mate. Say hi to all UK sim racers. Thanks, John.
Well done, mate. This has been your personal best.
Sorry guys if I'm not replying to all your questions. It's very difficult to read long messages while driving, especially at Spa. save it, but not very tidy over there.
Yellow flag ahead. Watch out. Yellow flag, be careful.
Okay, decent lap.
Personal fastest lap.
Now I can try to push it a bit more. Not like that, that's stupid. Okay, let me clean everything. And have a look also. Let's get a new tire. So what's this here? Yeah, I mean, it's always a compromise. Again, some other guy, so channel says stiffy setup, stable aero. Yes, but you need a compromise. Another guy said, no, at Monza you can go full soft. Well, you're not going full, you're going soft. But there is a point where you're not going really full soft. I mean, not everything is at minimum, you know? So again, it's a compromise. You have to find somewhere that the car is good enough for you and fast enough for the track. All right, so let's try once more with fresh tires. We still have 11 minutes. Let's also get some water. All right, let's go. Nah, the fast guys probably are lapping with full fuel, you know, as usual. They probably don't even want to start first. But it's okay, I'll take it.
Slow car ahead. Yellow flag ahead. Watch out.
Ats. Interesting nickname. So Ats says that he is noticing the real cars are bouncing while on the simulator they're not bouncing as well. There is something which I hate, and unfortunately we cannot change it right now. And you can though have a look. I'm not saying that it's gonna make the same situation, but it would definitely improve if it wasn't like that. So when you're watching the cars in Assetto Corsa Competizione from the replay, from the external cameras, right? Unfortunately, the target of a camera is fixed on the center pivot of the body of the car. So any movement of the body, you cannot see it. It's practically eliminated because obviously it doesn't change what the car does in comparison to what the camera looks at. It's fixed like this, okay? And this takes visibly a lot of the bouncing. It becomes invisible. You cannot see it. You can, if you watch what happens to the tires, you'll see that there is a lot of bouncing only if you watch the tires in comparison to the body. But the body doesn't seem to move. But that's because the target of the camera is like that. And you can see how this changes if you take the camera and you put it somewhere fixed, you know, outside the track, and you see the car the cars passing by. Then you will see that when the target of the camera is just fixed, you will see that the cars bounce quite a bit. But unfortunately, yeah, it's a visible trick that we didn't thought very well of how to link the camera with the car, and the result is that the ACC cars seems that they don't bounce as much. But you can also see that they bounce quite a bit also by the telemetry, and also what you see when you are driving, from the cockpit with some cockpit movement. The cockpit movement is simulated with springs, which means that if there wasn't any bounce, there wouldn't have been any cockpit movement. It's the bounce on the body that makes the springs of the head camera to move around.
Slow car ahead.
Hope that make it clear for you what I mean.
Yellow flag.
And also, of course, if you go into the telemetry and check the suspension, you'll see a lot is going on even on the straights. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are absolutely right, Atsats, and it is one of the things that bugs me no end. I hate it because it practically hides all the movement and physicality, of the cars on the track. It's stupid, but next time. Oh no! Yes, Rob. All the cars in racing, because of the rules, they use conventional stuff. Only the street cars use the various active, things and stuff like that. Except some stuff on, active electronic bias and maybe differentials in GT4 cars, which are closer to production. But the suspension are all mechanic. There are no active anti-roll bars in the McLarens. In Assetto Corsa 1, we simulate them.
Yellow flag in sector 1.
Do a good lap. Come on. Yeah, 17.
Well done, mate.
Not bad.
Yellow flag in sector 3. Yellow flag ahead. Be careful.
come on. To go up to 6th. Didn't make it. That's okay.
Sector 3.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll take it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I'm glad I did 17 and
sector
almost
2.
Another 17. 16.4, fuck's sake. Right, so monotone, I don't remember, I have pretty much all the sounds at 100%, something like that. I can show you. Options, sounds. This is my sounds. The master is very low, then on bar engine, so that we can talk and you can hear me instead of hearing only the car. But this is how I am. Probably Lucas Sodano will look at this and will be, no, what are you doing? This is wrong. But I don't remember how it was in default. If I can do a video on the brake bias, yes, of course, we can do that. But you know, it's pretty basic in terms of more rear brake bias helps you rotate the car while also braking. More front weight bias helps you stabilize the car while braking. But as usual, the problem is always between the steering wheel and the driving seat. So your driving style can also rotate the car by trail braking the correct amount while turning in. So if you are putting, for example, way too much pressure on the brake pedal when turning in and you are not modulating, then you might need a little bit more weight bias at the rear, okay? If you're putting the correct amount of brake bias or even less, then the car might rotate too much and you might need a little bit more brake bias to the front. I also tend to not use, you know, this braking and acceleration together, because I think it's a bad habit. It might give you a tenth of a second or something, but then you cannot really use it in real life because the G-forces do not permit you to be as precise. So I tend to try to be very precise with my left foot on how much I trail brake, and I end up, you know, using quite a bit forward of brake bias instead of other people, for example. But it's all down to personal preferences. Just, you know, make the correct questions and have the correct answers.
Can you go faster than I can bike? I think you can.
No, it's true that with more rear brake bias, you can probably brake in less space, both because you use on the straight line more the rear brakes and tires, which are usually larger and have more downforce, and also because you can trail brake more into the turn, which means that you can brake later because you do some of your braking while turning instead of just in the straight line. So you see, again, correct question, better answer. How much do we have? 40 minutes of race, so I'm gonna need something like 25.4. All right, so let's go back here.
Quite a bit, a lot to learn. And now since the second half is going really well, I'm starting to feel at home, and I think it's really cool, so enjoying.
Let's see how it goes. Thank you.
I don't know what I'm doing. I hope I'm doing well. Oops. So, oh. So it's 40 minutes. I'll go with 40 and hope for the better, because we have to change tires as well. There's a mandatory pit stop. So 40 minutes with a mandatory pit stop. Right? No, Jupiter non ha nessun utilizzo pratico, è tutto finzione, è tutto placebo. Yeah, absolutely, Pathos. Some people change brake bias on the fly. The top guys. Yeah. Any lock to horizon? I think so. I don't remember. We'll have a look later if you remind me. Thank you, Blazer. What do you think about the upcoming racing simulator Rennsport? No idea. No idea at all. I think nothing right now. Hey, look, another Ferrari in pole position tonight. Looking good.
What about the night qualifying?
Where is Andy?
No, I think
Andy. Where's Andy?
top 20, so we are ready if you have to
I
go
cannot
one
see
second
Andy.
to the lap, but I'm
He's not racing.
You look so calm.
You look so calm. Hey, Boki. Thank you so much, buddy. Thanks. And take the beer and think of you. Thank you, buddy.
24-hour race.
Thanks for the support, mate.
How important is qualifying to you?
Guys, where is Andy? I cannot find Andy.
It's not really important because it's 24 hours also. You can start at 40, you can quit, but
That's strange.
important for the first 3-4 hours to be out of the mess.
Rage squid of same. No Andy.
It's always nice to be in front of everyone.
All good so far, let's see.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Oh my god. Everything is correct. Yes, whatever. Let's go back and into the track.
First
20 seconds.
Thanks, Mix.
was okay, but we had a bit of traffic.
Oh, we also have a full,
We changed something on car.
full.
It wasn't really an improvement, so we put in more time, unfortunately. So now we try to brake. So how to put everything together.
Okay, fuel to add another 40 something.
Experience in right?
Go in single file.
I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, let's see.
Quite a bit different. It's obviously a different concept of the car. It's really
I think I have a little bit too pressure, or the pressure is not correct for the tires, but we'll see. So I'm starting P5, not bad. Possibly with all the aliens and everything in the real race, I can start somewhere around P10. If I can do a similar lap. No, there are no standing starts in ACC. They're not in real life, so no standing starts in ACC. There's Andy. Yeah, sure I can serve my pole. I think it's something like 40, around 40. I don't remember the exact number. Pole, fault, everything. No monotone, I just tend, to stay into for fun races. I don't have the time to, I can't find the effort needed to do a proper, league. So unfortunately, I mean, you can see even from my live streams, it's always very late because, I end up working late and I need some time to relax and then eat with the family and see the family, how they are and so on. So usually I get some free time very late in the night, and which means that if I also do races mid-week, then I won't have extra strength to work the next day. So usually I do the live streams on Friday very late, and that's it. Fuck, I just lost some pressure. Go Andy, all good? I thought you would like to do the race, mate. Sorry that you can't. Well, Charlie, yeah, consider that. I mean, it's a great job. I love it, and I'm so fortunate to be able to do it. But consider that I'm driving every day, and you know, switching seats and doing numbers, and then driving, and doing numbers, then driving, and so on every day. And it lasts on the good days at least 8-9 hours. On the bad days, you know, it's going on for 12 hours or more, depending on the deadline. So certainly after you've been driving the whole day, you need some time to, you know, to wind down. Let's put this Volkswagen, yeah. Been talking too much and I haven't heated up my tires. All good, Andy, mate. Alright, let's see what we can do. Survive lap 1 indeed. I forgot to hydrate. Next stop, pit stop. In 20 minutes from now. Oh, that was soon.
Car on the right. Clear on the right. Car on the right. Clear on the right.
I don't like the situation. That's not a good situation.
Clear on the right. Car on the right. Clear on the right. Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Finally, single line. This. Finally. That's okay. Good practice. Now let's focus. I want to take it easier tonight. You know, get into the mentality of the race instead of pushing like crazy like I did yesterday. Stay calm with the track limits as well. Anthony. Hello, Donny. Yeah. Got lots of aero understeer. Always look at your reference points, not at the car in front. Car in front should be on your peripheral vision, not on your main vision. Yeah, it takes flat, but if you go too close to the other car and you don't have the correct line, it goes into aero deficit at the front splitter, and obviously that brings you aero understeer. So I need to be more precise with my line when I'm following the car in front of me so close. Oh, come on, mate. I wasn't expecting him to be so slow there. Otherwise, I would have gone into the inside, but my bad, my error. I mean, his error, but I didn't took advantage of it, and I almost boned him. Ponterino. Anyway, let's go. That's better. Push a little bit here. He's feeling the pressure, but it makes me slower like that. The guys behind me are catching up, so I need to find a way to pass through. Had to raise my foot to not get the track limit. Oh, there was an accident ahead of us.
Car on the left. left. Clear on the left.
Let's go, Cats.
Falling behind the car in front in second.
McLaren in front of us again.
Well done, mate. This is me, your personal best.
Have a little bit of push understeer at braking, so one click back in the brake bias as we said before. That's better.
Warning for exceeding track limits.
No, that is not good. We cannot do this stuff in the race tomorrow. I mean, after tomorrow. McLaren is so fast in the fast bits, so much downforce. I'm on V10, need some power here. on.
Yellow flag in sector 1.
I have better braking and turning, have better apex and exit. Difficult, very difficult.
Losing time to the car in front in sector 2. Well done, mate. Personal best. Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Ooh. Come on, Aris, concentrate, very bad here.
Well done, mate. Personal fastest now.
Oof. Very hot. Don't know how we're gonna do 6 hours on Sunday somehow. Hey, channel 11.
Fuel is running low. Prepare for box. Well done, mate. The fastest lap so far.
No, that's not the hybrid one. The standard. It's not the standard aggressive, it's a setup we did. But it's not the hybrid one either. But yeah, I've lost all the time.
Yellow flag in sector 3. We are halfway through, not over yet.
Yeah. Okay, let's go in. Ooh. All right, in we go. Ooh. Water, we don't have water. That was correct. That's a long pit lane. Very long pit lane. Here we go. Nice. Very good. That's a very interesting question, Ben. Obviously, you can see the lap times of the fastest guys from you.
Mandatory stop is not clear. Let's go.
Very good, stop. So you can see the faster guys from you and see what they're doing. That's an obvious indication that the car can do more. Okay. Another very good indication that the car can do more is when you are doing fastest laps in race, or you are doing, for example, fastest laps and you don't know why. Okay, that means that you did something correctly in driving and you didn't understood. Another thing you can do is you have your setup, all right? You are happy with your setup, you are doing some lap times. Switch back to the aggressive setup, okay? Switch back to the aggressive setup, obviously fix the pressures, and see if you're doing the same lap times or even better. That's an indication that the problem was not in the setup, but in the driving. Okay. So those are some of the things you can do to start to understand what's going on. Other things you can do is driving without trying to do lap times, faster lap times, but trying to see in a specific corner if you can change things and make the car rotate better or worse, okay? Just from your driving. The lap time might be worse, doesn't matter, but by its, experimenting with the driving style, brakes modulation, and stuff like that, you will understand if there are things you can do in the driving that can change completely the balance of the car. And that obviously is not the setup, but your driving. And of course, always, if you are into a community, there are always good people that are willing to help. So ask questions, show your replays, show your videos, and ask how you could improve things. A little bit of caution there. There are many situations, unfortunately, all right? There are many situations where you are asking and you have too many people answering the question, and some of them, sometimes many of them, will give you the wrong advice. That's a problem. So yeah, it's better to stick with a couple of guys that you know that will give you correct advice, if you can find them. It takes a bit of experience inside the communities. Akami. Yeah. Alessandro, aiuta a migliorare e gareggiare contro la I. Sì e no, nel senso che la I alla fine cerca sempre di aiutare il giocatore, il che significa che dopo un po' il giocatore può capire cosa fare, soprattutto in gara, no? Per obbligare la I a lasciare la posizione, ok? Questo ovviamente nella realtà fra piloti veri e simracer veri nel multiplayer non succederà, perciò sì, aiuta fino a un certo punto, però una volta che riesci a stare in mezzo alla I è meglio andare online anche, capito? Cioè non fare solo AI finché non sei perfetto. Appena riesci a stare un attimino dentro la I, vai online. Anche qui consiglierei trovate una community che permette a tutti di crescere e di fare errori. Se vai public gli errori succederanno, ma troverai gente che si incazza purtroppo, anche se non ha senso tanto secondo me. Ci sono community come la nostra che invece dice hai fatto un errore, benissimo, vediamo come mai e vediamo di migliorare. Did everybody in front of me already made the pit stops? Ah, Patrese, yes. That's true. All but one. Ah. Okay, I'm P4 again. Alright. trying to push a little bit, see if I can get closer to the guys in front of me. But I think that's not possible. They're much faster than me. Yeah, I mean, I'm about to do 18.4 in the race, and they are still going away from me, so tough luck, Aris. You reach your limit in position. It's a wood medal again, yeah! For fuck's sake.
Fastest lap.
My bad. Wow, 16th at Spa. Amazing, well done. Rob, no, I would say that for improving, initially it's better to drive blank and concentrate on the driving instead of concentrating on the delta. This is very bad usually. I mean, also, guys, keep in mind something. You can have the same setup, all right? Let's say aggressive or whatever. You get a setup from a guy who is fast or whatever. So let's say that with that setup, you are starting to drive and you are doing 221s here at Spa, all right? 221s. Now you're getting better, 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 and better. And, or, you know, the guy from where you took the setup is doing 218s, all right? So you are having the same car and the same setup, but there are 2 or 3 seconds of difference. That means that you and him are driving a different car, okay? The inputs that you put in the car and the obviously reactions that the car has to your inputs are practically a different car for each of you. And the same happens when you are, I don't know, starting at the track and you are lapping at 220, and then with practice you are getting at 218s with the same setup, all right? If you remember how you were driving the car at 220s and how you are driving the car at 218s, you see that you are not doing more of the same in the same way, just a little bit better. You are actually driving a different car. You are forcing the car to rotate, to accelerate, to brake differently than what you were doing when you were slower. So this is something very important to keep in mind. It also puts things into perspective, like, you know, I need a better setup or I need changes to the setup. You are not driving the same car with a faster guy. Even though the car and the setup is the same, it's not the same for you and for him. So yeah, you need to understand how to make the car do the things you want by improving your own driving. Mario Battista, benvenuto al canale. I mean, I wish I could show you. So for the next turn, you can see how I modulate the brake. If I push the brake too much, I will go into understeer. Look at that. See? Understeer. Straight. You see? So if I do this, it's not the setup. It's my driving that makes the car react differently. Okay? If I do less braking here, you see? It over-rotates. So again, it's my driving that I need to correct. And as you can see, I'm already 1 minute and 20 tenths of a second slower than before. because of 2 mistakes. And the car, if I do the question to myself, oh, how does the car react? It's not the correct question, you see? It's not the correct question. It's my driving that forces the car to do something else. And that, of course, means that a guy like Malinowski here that does 2:17s in the race, even if I had his car and his setup, all right, he's driving a different car than me, because I will never be able to do 2:17s in the race. Maybe 2:18s, fine, but it's not the same car for me and for him. He feels the car differently, and I feel the car differently. Obviously, at some point, you hit your plateau, your ceiling. There's always some possibilities to improve, but you know, you can. I mean, there's always a limit of what you can achieve at some point, from many reasons: practice, experience, reflexes, talent, whatever. There are many little things altogether that make the difference. But it is important to understand that, okay, what questions am I doing to the car, and what do I want from the car? So many people are like, you know, the car is understeery, and I cannot be fast with this kind of setup. I do a different kind of question. How can I keep an understeer setup and become faster? Because that will make me consistent in the race. I mean, right now I can talk to you, I can read the chat, and still, you know, hit my 18s and my 19s without big problems, and the car supports me. So, yeah. I repeat it many times. It's not because I want to belittle myself or to belittle you, or to, you know, keep the aliens as a different species or whatever. The fact is that at some point, for all the reasons that we mentioned before, practice time, talent, experience, you know, aids, reflexes, whatever, you're gonna end up, as the vast majority of us, all right, the vast majority of us, you're gonna end up somewhere in the mid of the grid, okay? Only the 1% ends up in the podium, right? It's normal. So when you are in the middle of the grid, okay, it doesn't matter if you are driving the fastest car for the track, or if you have the best possible setup, the fastest setup, or if you have 5 liters less fuel, or if you, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter, because you're still gonna be in the middle of the grid. So what I do is do all the necessary actions: safer setup, good balance in the pressures, a little bit extra fuel, a car that I like to drive, for example, all right? To make sure that I can be consistent. Because it's much better to do, you know, 1 hour of 220s consistently than doing, you know, 2 laps in the 218s, and then after that 1 lap in 225s because you did an error, because you cannot control the car, and then another lap in the 219s, and then another lap in 223s, and so on. No, do 1 hour of 220s. That's what you should do, and don't care if, you know, another guy is using a car that in theory is faster than yours by 0.2 of a second. Doesn't matter. Yes, if you are a top of the line alien, then it might be important. But again, 90% of us is not, right? And for sure, having a car that is 0.1 of a second faster than the other one is not going to, you know, make it or break it for an eventual win that you might be contesting if you find yourself into a server that has similar performance drivers like yourself. It's not that. It's the consistency. It's feeling one with the car, is being able to push and the car doesn't bite you back. That's what matters. in tempi sul giro non incide affatto. C'è gente che è alieno con anche volanti ben peggiori di un G29. Perciò in tempo sul giro niente. In tempi di consistenza e di aiuto, se non sei così bravo, la pedaliera migliore incide un po', ti aiuta. Però tempi sul giro è tutta la guida, non conta niente se hai il DD. In tempi di immersività, realismo, tutto quello che vuoi, incide tantissimissimo, cioè non ce ne sono di storie. Ma in tempi sul giro c'è gente col vecchio Momo che fa dei tempi che ciao, c'è gente col joypad che fa dei tempi che ciao. Che vogliamo parlare? Thanks Benji, I hope so. Because, you know, those videos are like, if each one of us does a little bit extra, then the races are better for all of the people. Thank you, Patrese. So kind of you. No, I recommend taking all the setups you can get from everywhere, change your own, play with it, because it's part of the game. It's what's good, you know. It's very interesting to change setup and see how the car changes and how the car behaves with different setups, or what the changes you do, how it affects the handling of the car. It's very good. So by all means, please do it. Just keep always in mind that it doesn't matter. It's not that makes the big difference. You know, that's the thing. It's not that makes the difference. Oh, the race is done. Woohoo! That was nice. P3. I don't know why, but that was very nice. That second stint was easy to go because I was talking to you all the time, guys. Thank you about that. P3, yay, podium. Zano says, Aris, you look like an oasis today. Actually, this, my friend Costadine, is. Let me check also what I'm doing, because otherwise, I don't know. Return to the garage. Let me a little bit check and show you that this is the oasis of Oppo. Opposite lock, the roundabouts. The oasis of Oppo. It's from Buffy Racing, an online web shop for Miata parts. Oasis of opposite lock. It's the roundabouts. Look at that. It even has rabbits. John Smith, yes, I've been talking like that even if I wasn't streaming. Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely, Jimmy. That's the amazing thing, right? That we can try so many different cars and change the characteristic easier. Let me thank you, everybody here. That was a great race. Miata is live, Costadine. Andimon, stop using Dipple. Stop it, mate. It doesn't do good to you. Lap 6 for the overtake on Lucas. Okay, let's go out and have a look what we're doing. So let's get out of here. Hey Benji, glad you like it. This is Sim Racing. I should do some, you know, t-shirts with this. Sim Racing Sensei. Jimmy, yeah, with gallery. All right, let's have a look. Highlights here.
What about the night qualifying? You worried about that?
No, I think we will long run.
Stream on AC1.
So
I have some issues with AC1. I love what the community does. I'm also a little bit cringy and slightly upset about the fact that some modders are, actually many modders are ripping cars, trucks from everywhere. They even, ask a price for the rips. They put out just ultra grippy tires, whatever, and everybody goes like, "Oh, amazing physics." That's not sim racing. That's not a good job, and unfortunately, there is too much of this. It has become a little bit of a jungle. I am very glad that people enjoy it. Okay, I wish only that the people would be a little bit more honest to themselves, and also a little bit more selective, and promote the good modders that do proper job, and possibly speak badly about the rip-off mods, even if they give you the car that you always wanted in your life, but still ethically it's not correct. And it doesn't do good in sim racing either. So yeah, I'm a little bit into a situation where I love it, but it bugs me as well. So I tend to, it's a love and hate situation. I like to see it, then I might go into play it a little bit, and I'm like, look at that. I mean, everybody is using this and that, and it bugs me. I'm honest on that. I repeat, I want to be very clear. I'm extremely happy that people are active and modding, and even the rip-offs play a role into letting people improve and learn the tools and everything, but obviously you shouldn't ask a price for that. You shouldn't make a living out of big, websites that promote rip-offs content. And the sim racers themselves, they shouldn't, download everything and go like crazy. This is perfect, without caring about from where this model or this track came from. Because in the end of the day, you're actually doing a disservice to the developers that give you the games that you like. Because even if you don't always play, I don't know, maybe you don't play a Gran Turismo or Forza or a Project Cars or the R Factor 2, etc., but you do use a mod that is a rip-off from those games, that is bad. And not bad just ethically, but also it puts your beloved software development into a little bit of a bad place with licensors. It puts the game into a little bit of a bad place with those other developers. While it's always great when we have collaboration between developers and maybe we can even exchange assets. So yeah, it's, as I said, it's a love and hate situation on some of that stuff. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Rob Jadway, I disagree with that. I believe, you have a game that has all these cars and trucks and everything. By all means, change cars. I won't say change on every race, but enjoy the game. In the end, it is an entertaining, right? So you should enjoy it and change cars, change setups, change everything. Just keep everything under the correct perspective. That's all. Yeah, if modders have, some agreement with a licensor, manufacturer or truck, etc., they're asking a decent price to keep up the costs and have also a little bit of monetary contribution or whatever, It's okay. It's okay. I won't say. I mean, I won't say woohoo, but I won't even say, oh my god, you know, this is terrible and you shouldn't do it. Absolutely. But when they are asking price for rip-offs and half-arsed mods and everything, I mean, there are modders that they are asking higher prices than what we ask for our own official content. So, yeah. I mean, the main thing is, first of all, enjoy your game, your simulator, whatever you want to call it. You should enjoy it. You should never get frustrated by it. Yes, sometimes frustration might arise, but generally, you should do and you should have a mentality that every time you sit behind the steering wheel, most of the times you should, you know, finish your session and you should be satisfied, even if you had an accident or whatever. Now, if forever, I mean, I've seen people wasting more time writing and insulting on the chats and public lobbies instead of racing. I mean, instead of, you know, being so frustrated and continue typing to insult people because you had a single accident in a public race at the start of Monza, I mean, why you do it? Don't write, don't get upset, just keep on racing. You're gonna be much more happy. Hey Victor, thanks mate. It all goes to Andy Mon as usual. Blame Andy. Benji, thank you so much mate. You shouldn't do it. Thank you. Thank you so much for the support mate. Hey Fernando, take care mate. Yeah, Rob, that was unfortunate. That yeah, I didn't like that either. It shouldn't have happened. Michele, yes, view settings. Yes, someone wanted the FOV. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. I'm just the face, and Andy Mon behind does all the work. That is true. To be fair, that is absolutely true. So someone asked for the FOV I'm using. So let's go here. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So let's go drive and no, drive.
Green light, give it all you can.
Something is not correct. Oops! Yay! Real-time crash. Woohoo! Hey Tortellini, thanks for the support, mate. Good race. You won, I guess, right? So let's go back again. I think I have something like 42, 40. Give it a second, guys, because I need to. No, Rob, yes, absolutely. It started actually for not exactly driving school, but Race Sim Center specifically, though, for training. So let's go here and let's go there. And this is the car and practice. Right, let's go. Yeah, of course. All right. Okay, here we are.
Go.
So let's change the view. And let's go into view settings. And you can see, yeah, I'm using FOV 40. Kevin, thank you, mate. Yeah, guys, thank you so much tonight. Really appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So nice of you. Yeah, I'm very good at doing the pretty face. I'm very bad at working. So hopefully and luckily we have Andy. So thank you, Kevin. So yeah, this is his guide, 1240 right now. Why is Gop is not here tonight? Did he had any work to do? What's going on? Ooh, professional YouTube streamer. The porn bots are here. Yeah, Rob, you know, life is always strange, and obviously, I mean, big part of life is luck. I won't say it's not, because it's true. You have to be prepared to grab the opportunity when you see it. So yeah, it is like that. I mean, if I was living somewhere in the third world, for example, and trying to find food for my family, obviously, even if I was good for whatever reason, I had the talent to make cars, I wouldn't be able to do it. So it takes some luck to born where something might happen to you like this. So yeah, you cannot always. I mean, I've heard many people saying it's all of my personal work. Yeah, but it is. As I said, it takes some luck to be on some place during your life at the correct time, and it takes then the work and the possibility, you know, to grab the opportunity and insist, if you want to. Say so, to make things work. So yeah, it happened and we did it, and luckily here we are. Emil, I'm not using inside mirror because personally for me the radar is more than enough to understand what's going on. And secondly, I have explained this into the how to race video. I have a different way of thinking when it comes into defend and attack. My way of thinking is, actually this is something I should do with some graphics at some point, because it's an example that I've been doing it, but it is an example that I'm now visualizing also, and I think it would be nice to show to you. So the moment I'm going into a turn and fighting with another car, automatically I think about that turn as a two-lane road. Left lane, right lane, you know, it's a two-lane road for me. And I try to keep the car in my own lane. If you do that properly, then you have very high probabilities that the other car, even if it does a mistake or whatever, will probably have space to avoid you. Okay? So you don't need mirrors, you don't need nothing, also because it's very important when you're racing to keep on going as fast as possible. Most of the accidents happen either because the guy behind went way too long and late into the braking zone, and that is something you cannot really avoid a lot, or because many times the guy in front, instead of releasing the brakes and going to the apex as fast as possible, they keep on braking. They keep on braking, and that makes the car going slower and slower. They do not understand that they are going slower than they should, and the car behind them just punts them because it cannot slow down anymore. So yeah. So I don't need, I mean, even the real racers, they rarely watch the mirrors. The mirrors are there to have a look before their turn, before the braking zone, or even just at the braking zone. So during the braking zone or just before the braking zone, you have a look at the mirrors and see where the other cars are and what are their intentions. once you know where they are, it makes no difference, especially inside the race car where you are sitting very low and you don't have any peripheral vision, honestly, and you have mirrors small like that, right? It makes no sense to try to look at the mirrors to see where the other car is. The responsibility of the car behind you is to not hit you. And your responsibility is to not look at him, but try to go as fast as possible to the turn in front of you. That's the two responsibilities that we have. If it's one of the guys does its job properly, then everything's going to be fine. Most of the time. Sometimes accidents will happen. Regular aggressive setup and proper tire pressure at Spa, I think I can do with a good temperature, I think I can do 17s. High 17s. Well, Rob asks how we can translate the data. Well, it's all numerical data. I mean, for example, to simulate an engine, all you need is a graph that gives you RPM and torque for every RPM. So at 2000 RPM you do 200 Newton meters. At 3000 RPM you are doing 280 Newton meters, and so on. That already is a simplified but still more than good simulation of an engine in the whole RPM range. So we get this kind of data. Obviously there's more into it, so in a proper simulation that it is advanced, next level and next generation as Assetto Corsa Competizione, you get and we simulate acceleration response, obviously turbo pressures and how they build up the pressure, inertias of the engine and the drivetrain. We also simulate extra pressure, atmospheric pressure, if the car is at high speed from the intake, all that stuff that makes the simulation of the engine more complicated and more realistic. But it's all numbers in the end. Same thing happens for the aereo, for example, and even more easy for the suspension. The suspension, you get the numerical coordinates in a 3D space of each suspension point. Okay, for the chassis attack suspension points, for the hub suspension points, you just put them in the simulator, and the simulator then does all the mathematical equations needed to make those arms, the suspension arms, move and follow the arcs that they need to follow from their dimension and their placement into a 3D space. That translates into the tires, which are connected to the hub, and the tires obviously then hit the ground with collisions and try to generate forces from the grip. This is of course very simplistic, but it gives you an idea what it means to get a number and put it in. Obviously the number goes into mathematical equations that describe each and everything of that, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know, Marble. It's way far to the future to think about now that. Channel 11, not that easy. Yes, Levi, there is a particular order that I do things when I create a setup. If you search the playlist that I have to my channel, I have a playlist of how to make a setup. And there are steps, step 1, step 2, step 3. And each one of the steps describes, in the proper order what to do first. So for example, the first thing you have to do is fix the pressures. Then you go for the ride heights. Then you go for the springs, and so on and so on. Andemon, why? Now I have this image in my mind. Why? Well, I think there was Tortellini that did an amazing world record in the aggressive setup at Spa or some other circuit, I don't remember. And he was like, back then it was 1.7 version, I think. He did something like 215 on the aggressive. So, hey, RDG, the fish are okay as usual, swimming around, eating all day. No problems in life. BGD BOP and aggressive preset, right, right. Yeah, I mean, absolutely you can do it. There is, as I told you guys, driving gives you seconds. Tires, which we cannot change, but in reality, tires also give you seconds. So different tires, different compounds can give you seconds. Setup changes give you tenths of a second, except if we're talking, you know, about extremely big changes, or you have a particularly bad setup in comparison to a particularly good setup. That might give you seconds. But normal changes to a good setup will give you tenths of a second and nothing more. And nothing more. So driving, lots of seconds. Tires, a couple of seconds. Setups, some tenths. Yeah, Rob, we get a lot of data, and it needs a lot of work, it needs a lot of testing, and sometimes you also have some priorities to do. So, for example, you might know that some things need a different implementation, but you don't have the time, and instead of, you know, breaking everything, you're gonna wait for the correct moment, or you're gonna wait for more testing, or you're gonna wait for a next version of the title or whatever. To make a better implementation. I mean, this is also why we changed titles, why we went from Assetto Corsa 1 to Assetto Corsa Competizione, for the graphics as well, the sound as well, the different series, everything. But also the physics, you arrive at a point where it's difficult to improve, so you start again, you know, completely change everything, and you start again from a new physics engine, obviously based on the old one, but with extra new features and everything, and then you start on new cars to implement the new features. Keep in mind that when we are going through a major update, as we did, for example, from 1.7 to 1.8, we implemented new things on the physics engine, and that doesn't mean that the job is done. In order to make it work, I had to re-implement from scratch pretty much all the tires for all the cars, and all the cars, some slight differences here and there, or implement the new feature. That's a massive job that you need to do. We did that a couple of times in Assetto Corsa 1, we did that in a couple of times in Assetto Corsa Competizione. It arrives at some point that, you know, when you have in Assetto Corsa 1 200 different cars, each one of them with different tuning levels or different tires compounds, each one of them with 2 or 3 compounds of tires, there is so much job you need to do that at some point, also because of, you know, the sales are starting to go under the peak, you decide as a software company and say, you know what, that's the life of it, let's go and do something new that's even better. That's how it works, more or less. Well, the BOP on the 24 hours is different. I mean, there are not amazing differences. It's not like that, you know, in SRO the cars weight 1,500 kilos, and in Nordschleife they weight 2,000 kilos or 1,000 kilos. They are still around that ballpark, but what is different is that the BOP between the cars might be different. So I don't know, the Ferrari in SRO might have a difference in one track of 5 kilos with the Lambo, and in North's Life 24 hours might have 10 kilos, something like that. Also, very important to remember, the tires are different, and each car is, you know, adjusting to different tires and compounds differently. So yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, as much refresh rate as you can have is always better. I would like to improve some aspects of camber thrust and how this relates also to slip angle, which also then comes into play the toe and stuff like that. I would like to improve some stuff into how flexing the tire provokes heat, which already doing, but I would like to implement it in a better way, which will give this particular sensitivity that real life tires have with the dampers. I don't feel that we get this properly here as it happens in reality. There is the effect, but it's more subtle. So I would like to do something better on that. What else? I mean, yeah, you can improve pretty much everywhere if you search for stuff. I would like to improve the damage, for example, but hard stuff. Hey, Lucas. No, we don't have tire wear multipliers in the plans. It's not something that we want to do for this. Hey, Clinton, how you doing, mate? Stefano, dici a me dove hai imparato l'inglese? I mean, Sofiane, it's always like that. I mean, we adapt. We adapt. I mean, even when we started doing Assetto Corsa 1, we never thought we would be able to do so many physics for so many different cars with the level of, you know, simulation that was Assetto Corsa 1, which now sometimes we can see Assetto Corsa and say, it's limited. But in reality, back in the days, it was top of the industry, and it had many features that no other sim had, like active suspensions, aero, differentials, braking, traction controls, hybrid system. Nobody could imagine that those things could be implemented, and yet it was all there. So yeah, we adapt, and the Excel files get bigger, and the hours get longer, and we keep on doing it. The physics engine of the Assetto Corsa competition is based, of course, on Assetto Corsa 1. It's a little bit different like that. I mean, it's more based on the experience that you do and you have from different titles, and then you build upon. For example, if you know how to, I mean, I'll try to make this in a metaphor easier to understand. If you know how to make cement, right? You build a house with that, and fine. On the next house, if you want to improve, you probably gonna make a different, placement of the pillars or whatever. But the pillars are going to be, built with the same cement. And since we're talking physics, if you have some equations that you know that they are correct and work, you're not going to change them mathematically for the next physics engine. You're gonna use the same mathematical equations for the next physics engine, and maybe add extra depth on top of that. No worries, Sergey. Yes, Andimon, pretty much that. All right, so I don't know if there are any other questions. Yeah, that's true, Sergey. You could simulate the pads and just turn that up to But for another thing you could do is, Sergey, you might want to consider that you could limit the amount of tire sets available for the race. So instead of having tire multiplier, you could say, you know what, guys, we are going to do 4 hours race, and you only have 2 sets of tires. So everybody is forced, to work on used tires for a longer amount of time. Stefano, a scuola giù in Grecia all'inizio, allora c'è una differenza che è sostanziale, che ho applicato a mio figlio e ho visto che funziona. In Grecia non c'è, la TV non è tradotta, ci sono i sottotitoli, e siccome il 90% dei film sono inglesi e americani, da piccoli, no, continui a sentire inglese e a leggere greco, ovviamente. Perciò senti sempre inglese, alla fine, con l'aiuto anche un po' della scuola o qualche come si dice, aiuto esterno, è più facile imparare, perché sei già abituato, il tuo orecchio è già abituato all'inglese. E ho fatto la stessa cosa con mio figlio quando era piccolino, poverino, non solo ha imparato italiano e greco da metà e metà dei genitori, ma tutta la TV e tutti i computer l'ho obbligato a guardarli in lingua originale. E il risultato è che parla già l'inglese molto, probabilmente meglio di me. Aiuta molto. No, non credo che sia che sono intelligente, questo è un altro discorso. Vali, since we are doing SRO, I got data only from Pirelli for ACC, obviously. We didn't have any contact with Michelin. Unfortunately, Rob, I think Sim Expo this year is not at the Nürburgring. I don't know where they're going. I think it's Nuremberg that they are going to do it, which is a little bit farther than there. Amrit, anche questo assolutamente. Anche io giocavo ovviamente tutto in inglese da piccolo. Ferrari does use part of our simulator for different things, not obviously for the Formula 1, but it also uses a lot of our assets, like laser scan tracks and stuff like that, for also the professional simulator, but I cannot go too much into that because NDAs and stuff like that. No, it's Sergey. It's more on sometimes it's the most important thing is when to say no, and for this kind of game, we decided to not do tire multiplier. We just said no, we're not going to do it. It's something that we decided since the beginning, and we're not even discussing to do something like that. Stefano, credo di sapere meglio l'italiano adesso, perché sono qui dal 91, perciò dai alla fine. Sorry mate, I have a little bit trouble to read your Cyrillic characters, because there are those characters that I have some confusion, but no, I don't think we're gonna have the safety car in the future, and I will tell you also why. Because unfortunately everything you do, it's a compromise of the time you have, the cost needed to do it, and the license you have, and what brings you back. So unfortunately for us, the price we need to pay to get the license for the safety car, and the price we need to pay to actually create it, 3D, sounds, physics, because we don't do just something fake that goes around, but has to drive properly, and the time we need to pay in order to make our developers to implement it for something that is getting used for a millisecond, because obviously when you have a yellow flag in a multiplayer race or even with the AI, it's not like real life where the actual track has to go into the circuit and take off the damaged cars, and you have the marshals that clean the asphalt and everything. That doesn't happen in our game. The user just hits S, return to the pits, everything is automatic. So practically you should get out with the pace car only for a second or only for a lap. And unfortunately all of that, even though I will be the first one to say, wow, it would have been amazing in terms of immersion and everything, but in reality we know from experience that very few people are going to use it, and even then it's going to be half-arsed or sincerely very, very small in terms of actual usage. Okay. Also, imagine the fact that in a public race you have, I don't know, many accidents in the first lap, so practically all the first lap would have been behind the pace car. In reality, they are a tiny little bit better, not that much better, so the pace car gets out only on some situations. So it's the diminishing returns, as we say. It doesn't really pay out the effort needed to implement it, and that's why we don't think about it. Levi, don't worry about it. You have to start from somewhere. Pads 4, as we said many times, is there only to let you understand how brake fade works, and they get worn very fast, like after 30 minutes. So it's unusable. It's only there for you to understand, for the users, how the brake fade works in Assetto Corsa competition if they want to try it. Pads 1 can last from 1.5 hours to a little bit over 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours. It really depends a lot on driving style, temperatures, brake ducts, and circuit. Pads 2 can last more than 12 hours, but not 24, more than 12 hours. And pad 3 also more than 12 hours, but also better modulation, so it pays to use them maybe when it's very wet. The Ferrari Virtual Academy was a project we did for Ferrari, and so all the project and producing and everything was and is in the hands of Ferrari, and they decide if it keeps going out, if it is supported or not, and so on. So at some point they decided that that's it, and that was it. It's just, as I told you, Sergey, it just doesn't make sense in terms of how much time and effort we need to implement it, in comparison of how much the people are going to use it, and how much, I mean, in the end, sometimes, not always, most of the times not, but sometimes you also have to think, okay, if I implement that and I need, I don't know, 1 month or 2 months from a couple of developers to work on it, and a couple of content creators to work on it, will people going to buy my product more? No. So is it really so important? No. And so, the answer is, well, then forget it. Unfortunately, we still live into a capitalistic society where we have to put the gains above whatever. Sì, Alessandro, ovviamente ci sono dei campionati dove gli organizzatori simulano la safety car da soli, questo ovviamente è più che possibile e anche molto bello. William, changing engines is always annoying to most, some, all, depending. But it is also sometimes necessary for reasons, because also staying on the same engine sometimes might be very annoying to some of the developers, so it doesn't pay dividends to keep on insisting. So that real boy again, we deciding what car enters the sim. It's first of all our own passion and preferences. So we say, okay, we like this car, we put it in, right? Then it's if what we like also has some significant history, or if it is important to the people. Secondly is also if we can find some data. Thirdly, also if we can find some data for the car, and lastly, if the manufacturer is willing to give us this car, at what price, and so on. To give you an example, we asked people with a poll on our forums for Assetto Corsa 1. We put a very nice list of amazing Ferrari cars, mainly classical old cars, amazing cars, and we ask people, your choice, which one of this list, where we know we can get the license, you want us to implement for the next DLC. In between all those cars there was a Formula 1 new car, which was the same practically as the latest version of that car we had already in the sim. Okay, so I don't remember exactly the name of the Formula 1, but it was like we had the 2012 model and we proposed also the 2013 model, something like that. Practically the same Formula 1, practically the same. And the poll ended with the new Formula 1 winning by something like 60% of 70% of the votes, and all the other cars got like 10, 20, 25% of the votes. So usually we try to get what we like, with a little bit of, okay, can we get it, and will people like it as well? But for example, I mean, you get to do some cars, and luckily we have this possibility, and then you see that the DLC does not pay out. You did it and nobody buys it almost. So yeah, it's complex. Rob, no, absolutely. Porsche also uses Kuno stuff. Dallara uses Kuno stuff. Many manufacturers use Kuno stuff. Lotus is a great situation, because when we started with Assetto Corsa 1 and nobody knew who Kunos is, what we do, and what is Assetto Corsa, Lotus was the first one who actually told us, come here, let's discuss it, we will let you drive the cars, let's see what you can do. And they were enthusiastic and about the whole project, and they offered us a very nice, obviously good job on Marco, who is always on the point on those things. They offered us a full license of Lotus. We could have done any Lotus we wanted, and it was all included in the price. Normally, with all the other manufacturers, for every single car you do, you have to pay a different price for each car. Lotus said, pay us a specific price. I don't know even what it was, but it wasn't that much, and you can do whatever you want. Amazing people. I mean, the guys working in Lotus, the engineers, the test drivers, the guys that they actually do the cars, they are all amazing people with a lot of passion. Great admiration for them. No, luckily for us, all DLCs have already paid out. Some of them had great success, some of them less than what we anticipated, but they all paid out. Keep in mind that people think that in simulators any DLCs practically sells almost as much as the full game. it's so far from the truth you cannot even imagine, to the point that even us initially were negatively surprised by how little amount of small amount of people buy DLCs. And when we complained with a big publisher back in the days and with Steam, Steam said, "Are you crazy? You have one of the best percentages of DLC sales. Usually, even for top of the line games like, I don't know, GTA or Skyrim or whatever, Elite or whatever, DLCs are like 2, 3, 4, 5% of the buyers of the original game." And we're like, huh? So this is the situation out there. It's a very hard market, so it's not easy. For us, it's much bigger as a percentage, but nowhere near even at the middle, a half or we wish as many as close to as many as people buy the actual game. So yeah. How much licensing costs? Oof, it's very, very, very variable. It's not a fixed price. It pays a lot to have someone like Marco and now also Valerio Piersanti, which is our new responsible for licensing, to make the best deals. Licensing can go from as low as 5,000 euros, so to say, we wish, to as high as 500,000. It's amazing the amount of money that manufacturers and some tracks ask for licensing. It's out of this world. There are manufacturers and tracks that could ask way north of 100,000 euros, so to give you an idea. Way north. Way, way, way north. Opinions on monitor screen size for sim racing. I think ultra wide is better, but I'm not a guy that I should talk about it because I'm quite ignorant that I still have a small normal monitor. We'll at some point do a stream when you drive a Lexus. I'm a vindicative person. Yes, I will someday. How was Porsche licensing? That was an epic moment for us as a company, as personal satisfaction, as everything. There are so many. There are even stories, amazing stories behind that license, and great fun, great satisfaction. It was incredible. It was incredible. What can I say about Rennsport? No idea. I have no idea. How many of their cars came to AC? Yes. Porsche actually actively searched us. We had some amazing talks. I still remember visiting Lisbon in completely top secret alone to go and put support at Porsche on their own private event for vendors around the world, sellers and so on. And they wanted to have a couple of simulators and we had made some Porsche cars that were not obviously not only they weren't public, they were completely fully top secret, and it was such an incredible moment. Yeah, I mean, I did some incredible hours, and I was out, and people were asking, Aris, where are you? We don't see you. And I couldn't say anything for a year. Yeah, great times. Guillaume, if I found the time, it is a possibility, yes, to implement the new Pirelli tire. It is a possibility. Definitely, I do not completely, I will not say no to that. It's a little bit, difficult right now, but if I can find time, I will certainly put the effort. We are talking about it. We'll see how it goes. No license carry ever to a new title. Every single new title, you need to pay license from scratch. So, for example, to give you an idea, we have the McLaren 650 inside Assetto Corsa 1 and inside Assetto Corsa Competizione. We pay 2 licenses for each of one of them. It's the same car. We pay 2. If we thought about making a documentary, there's no time. It needs so much effort. And keep in mind that 90% of Kunos people work from their home. So we're not together or all into an office, which would have been easier, to make a documentary. So it's really hard to do something like that. The hardest thing to implement in Unreal 4. There were a couple. Optimization of performance, triple screen VR, the actual logic of the gameplay of the rules. We just went crazy. We couldn't make it work. We went crazy with that. Initially, you can remember how the game was bugged on simple things, but the game is very complex underneath. The rules are crazy. So yeah, that stuff were definitely very difficult. I'm sorry, guys. I will never reply and respond to questions about the future, neither for contents or plans or titles or whatever. There are many reasons why. The most important reason that I want to tell you so that you can also understand why. Many times I don't know. Many times there are contracts, whatever. The most important reason is that Kunos is owned by 505 Games, and 505 Games is a massive multinational producer that is quoted into the market, into the stock market, which means that for any future plans of whatever, if I do the tires, so to say, obviously not that much, but for whatever future important plans, they have to decide when to say things in accordance to the shareholders' respect and to the earnings meetings and stuff like that. If I say something about that, it's market manipulation, and I go to prison. So you will never hear for anybody else of the developers except Marco, who obviously is our CEO. And from the 505 official channels about future plans, future content, whatever, before they judge it's the moment to do so. So that's why I will never ever tell you anything about stuff like that, even if I knew. Usually I don't know the whole picture. So No, it's not overstepping, but I really, because I'm always trying to be as open as I can, because I feel that that's the way to do it. When you see me that I am not replying something, is because it goes into that place, and I simply cannot. That's all. But I really like to let you know why, so that guys, you understand. Okay, why Aris is not replying that if he replies everything else. Samba, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. It's an average. Almost an average, not exactly an average. Unfortunately not. It is in the plans to implement it in the future. I don't know if in a certain competition or later, but it is something that we are looking into it. Zondo, I don't think GTR and Rennsport are related. I think it's completely different titles and development teams. A main problem with implementation on the console. I don't have the information to judge this, honestly. John Smith, I mean, there would have been some difference. It might be negligible, but it would have been the correct thing to do, and that's what we always go for, to do the correct thing. So it is something that in the future we should do, as for example the completely dynamic dry, wet line, whatever. It is something that in the future we should do. You have to always push. That's simulation. You have to push to do the correct thing, even if it seems to be a negligible difference. Monaco GP prediction. Ha! Leclerc, Sainz, and Verstappen. Actually, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, which will be overtaken by Verstappen because, team orders. Thanks, Shankar, mate. Thank you. Fully simulated raindrops. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit hard on the hardware. Leclerc not finishing. I hope not this time. Poor guy. Will there be moon in AC2? Probably yes. Yes, it is the correct thing to do. Rob Zombie, clarification. The physics engine is always Kuno's engine owned. We are not using the physics engine of Unreal. We used Unreal as the base engine for the game in terms of graphics and everything else that connects the game. The main idea was that moving ahead, you see a game engine like Unreal, and you see that every couple of months they get out with an update on the game engine, and the changelog is bigger, right, than all the changelog that you have done to your game in 5-6 years. And obviously they have like thousands of people working into that engine, so you make some calculations, you do some tests, and you think, what, we can never manage to stay on par with the new technology. So keep in mind that at first, Kunos was practically Stefano Casillo alone, developing with a couple more programmers helping towards the end, not at the start, towards the end. So it wasn't a bigger team. It was a very, very small team in terms of programming power. And so you say, you know what, maybe we should go into a game engine. Obviously, you go and check Unity or Uni Engine or Unreal, and you do your tests, and decisions were made, and we ended up with Unreal. As usual, there were both great advantages and disadvantages. In the end of the day, again, the top programmers right now, our lead programmer is Alessandro Piva. They will do, they will wait out the advantages and disadvantages and decide what is better. Obviously, they will talk to the content creators and the management, which is us, and decisions will be made again, potentially. So that's how it happens practically. I race in physics in a motorsport magazine. I don't remember that. Maybe Autosport. It was the magazine I was doing with a couple of guys back then. I don't remember exactly. I don't know that Samba, sorry. No, I wouldn't say I feel Stefano's absence in the coding part of things, because Stefano was very good at organizing the, programmers that came after him, and we now have a very strong programming team. I do feel the absence of Stefano sometimes as a guidance of no bullshitting, saying no. Stefano was very good at saying no. Our team is also very good. I mean, by all means, it's amazing. But you grow up as a developer with Stefano. Stefano was both charismatic and also very authoritarian, and you do miss some of his genius solutions and exits. You do miss some of his decision of, no, we're not gonna do this because we will not. That's it. End of story. Which were both great and bad at the same time, or different occasions. And yeah, I mean, obviously I miss Stefano, but I cannot say that I really miss him in terms of coding parts of the purely coding. I miss the fact that he was, as all geniuses, capable of doing nothing and just thinking on stuff for weeks or maybe a couple of months, and then coming out from nowhere in 1 week and completely remaking everything or doing unimaginable stuff in just a couple of days of programming by vomiting code. Oh yes, now I know it, like that. That was his style of doing things. So yeah, sometimes I do miss that, but yeah, it is what it is. Napadzi racing, yes, that is what you have to do. Rear wing makes you raise the rear wing and gives more downforce at the rear, so you have more understeer, but you also have a more stable aero balance, aero platform, which means higher numbers in the rear wing, the car will suffer less from pitch sensitivity, aero pitch sensitivity. Lower rear wing for the same aero balance, the car will suffer more for pitch sensitivity. How long do I work for Kunos? How long? I don't remember. I'm terrible at remembering things like that. It's certainly more than 10 years, but I don't remember if it's already 15 or even more. So I don't remember exactly. And it's also very blurry because I've started collaborating, then went out again, then collaborating again, and then collaborating more, then collaborating more, then working exclusively, and so on and so on. So it's the initial part of our work together is blurry for at least a couple of years or 4 years. So yeah. Because I think we started collaborating with Stefano on Netcar since 2004 maybe, but we were just collaborating a little bit and it wasn't an actual Kunos company. Then we separated again and then we started re-collaborating again on Netcar Pro a little bit in 2012 maybe, or 2008, I don't remember. 2008 I think I started re-collaborating, and then I started working, after a couple of years I started working exclusively for Kunos. Yes, crowds. I always miss working on classic cars. I love classic cars. Even though, a GT4, for example, car, it's more like a top of the line classic car of the 70s, so to say. So yeah, but I mean, classic cars are lighter, the tires are more entertaining, stuff like that. If I'm happy with the state of the ACC physics, no. No, I would like to improve some things on the tires. I would like to improve something, but I don't know how much of that stuff I will be able to do. Development of Assetto Corsa was fully involved, 100%, 200%. If I can drift, mate, you need to check some of my older videos. Three trees. Go search for a website, for a YouTube channel called Game and Track, and go search my Lamborghini Aventador video, my Alfa Romeo 4C, my Toyobaru GT86 video, or in this channel some of the Miata videos in real life, of course, my own car that I have to, and you'll see if I can drift, I guess. What aspects of ACC I'm most proud of? I know that the aliens and the manufacturers and everybody else in the top of the line esport community will probably think I'm crazy, but I'm particularly proud of the BOP balance of the cars, because all things said and done, we are talking about extremely different cars simulated as good as possible, with just one compound of tires, which is more difficult than it sounds, which means that that single compound of tires have to work to different cars, have to work to different tracks, have to work to different conditions and different setups as the real tire, and all of that comes together, and in the end of the day, in the actual real esports series, you get qualification sessions where 30 cars with 30 drivers are in 1 second of gap from the first to the 13th to the 30 car, to P30, sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. In real life, you don't get as close. I mean, no matter what the guys on the server were gonna say, in real life you don't get ever this kind of performance. You know, from P1 to P20, they might be more than 3 seconds, for whatever reasons. In the game, you know, you get all those different cars, and I mean, the first 30 cars were in 1 second, and I believe the first 10 cars were in like 2/10 of a second, something like that. So I'm quite proud of that, I have to say. I'm quite proud of that. And I'm very proud of what we did with the Aero, which was another industry first, revolution. And I'm quite proud of what we did with the tires as well. We did some very good improvements on the tires. They're very complex. They're starting to be extremely complex, and it works very nicely. And I'm also very proud that both by improving the game, but also by having the patience to help people understand, we've managed to make sim racers understand that the proper simulation of the modern tires and aerodynamics of those GT3 cars, even though they are client cars, they are still very complex, and they have a much more narrow window of performance. And we didn't surrender to the critics that they were saying we can feel so much more what is happening in Assetto Corsa 1 and you ruined it with Assetto Corsa Competizione. We try to explain that, and we've managed, I believe, to explain to people why in Assetto Corsa 1 you have a wider window of behavior in tires and cars, and why in Assetto Corsa Competizione, with more data and more precise simulation, you have a narrower window of performance of tires and cars, which is both more exciting when you are up to the limit, but also worse in terms of what a non-trained driver is getting as feedback from the car. And with exceptions, of course, because everybody obviously can have its own opinion. But I think we did a very good job to make most of the sim racers understand, and now being in the situation where people at least think, I mean, I'm not objective, obviously, but big percent of people believe that the Assetto Corsa Competizione is the best GT3 simulation in the market. So I'm very proud of that. And modesty apart, it is a great feeling to know that you have done something that, at least on some parts, if not all of it, but some parts, it is the best in the world. It feels good to know that we have the best sound in the world in our genre. We have, people will disagree, but at least top physics in the world, if not the best for these kind of cars. The best graphics details in the world for I mean, even going towards amazing games for racing games that obviously have secondary physics but top of the line graphics. I believe that our models of the cars and the precisions of the materials and the 3D, as well as the laser scanned cars, are the best in the world. Even going, I don't know, against Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo, for example. For what we do for those specific cars, it is when we went out, it is really amazing. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. Electronic simulations are always are as well class leading. I just believe that we didn't make as big of a step forward from what we had already in Assetto Corsa 1, which was already amazing. But the big step was in Assetto Corsa 1. In Assetto Corsa Competizione, we had a very good evolution in the electronics, but the big, enormous step, amazing step in electronics was in Assetto Corsa 1. Oh yeah, Rob Zombie. Absolutely, in SRO they use the same type of tires. They only have like for GT3s like 3 dimensions. So they have 660 radius for the front of the old Porsche. Then all the mid-engine cars are using 680 radius at the front. And all the cars use the same 705, 705 at the rear. And the front engine, really front engine cars, so for example the Aston Martin and the Mercedes and the M4, they are mid front engine. They use 680 at the front radius. But the Bentley, the Nissan, the M6, etc., they use 705s at the front as well. But it's all the same compound for all the cars, and only you have some groups of cars using a different size in radius at the front, and that's it. And all use the same compound at the rear. And of course, in the simulator, it's absolutely the same. And I'm very proud we managed to make it work. As Pirelli should be very proud that with just one compound, they managed to work all the cars in all the tracks in all conditions. It's an amazing feat. Yes, it might not be the best performance tire in racing, but it is an amazing tire for what it does. Hey Xiv, that's very nice to hear. I'm very glad that what we do gives also opportunities to be something even more than just, a gamer, let's say. Gracias, Alessandro. Yeah, also the Nürburgring they don't do that. It's something that only SRO does to keep costs down, and Pirelli has done, in my opinion, an amazing job to make it work. Because it's easy, for the drivers, for the manufacturers, and for the players and fans to say, well, the Pirelli tire is not as performance top as, I don't know, Michelin's in WEC or Dunlops and Goodyear's in Nürburgring and so on. Yeah, but it works everywhere. It's just one compound. It works after 1 hour, it works after 2 hours. In any kind of car, you just put it in, it works. Amazing, amazing. And then you have Michelin, top performance, no doubt about it. But what many people do not know, for example, is that at WEC, not only they have different compounds that you can use, soft, medium, hard, whatever. Not only they have different dimensions, but even the same dimension used by one manufacturer to another has different characteristics from a palette of characteristics that Michelin can make, depending on what the manufacturer asks from the tire manufacturer. So Porsche might have the same rear tire as Ferrari. They might use the same compound in the same dimension, but Porsche will ask for some kind of characteristics from Michelin, and Ferrari will ask a different set of characteristics for the same compound and the same dimension of the tire, different characteristics. So three trays. What did you watch? Did you watch the Aventador SVG drift? What did you watch? Why they complain? Because the job of real drivers and engineers, and the thing that they learn since very small age, because as you know, drivers start driving go-karts sorry, from a very small age, like 6 years old they start driving, and what they learn throughout the whole career is that they have to complain in order to make the car better, to ask more, to get better themselves. They complain constantly. This is their job, to complain. It's an extremely competitive ambient, very stressful, and that's what they do. They always complain. Ah, yeah, the Audi S1. That was an interesting little car. I was expecting it to be extremely understeery. It was understeery, but you could play a little bit with it, and it was almost fun. Unlike the S3, which was very understeery. The S1 was better. Danny Roy, that is a possibility. That is a possibility, especially considering that generations change. My son and his generation will be far more at ease at watching esport events. Only 10 years ago, we would go to a real team and an older, driver, champion, whatever, and they would laugh at us and they would tell us, yeah, okay, but now go play with your PlayStations and let us do the job. Nowadays, we have almost the respect, and they are happy to collaborate and drive, and new generations of drivers use simulators, and by simulators I don't mean the professional, but our simulator, or the other guys iRacing or Factor 2 simulators, to train themselves. So already we have a change in generation that has a completely different approach to the simulators. The next generation will be even more than that, and at the same time also changes the fan base of the motorsport. Even now you go sometimes into live streams of a real motorsport event, and you have some of the old motorsport fans that they actually insult the sim racers by telling them, what do you speak again for the games, go away, and here they play the big boys as if we are here to steal their game. I mean, and unfortunately it's bad because those guys do not learn, because usually sim racers have much more experience and they know much better what happens in a race than older racers that do not sim racing, older fans. But that already changes, and as I said, the next generation will be even. I mean, it's a typical answer and meme from the new generation. You have the usual old guy that goes into a young boy and asks, "Why do you watch a guy on YouTube playing a game if you can play it yourself?" And obviously the young boy turns around and say, "Why don't you go into the football stadium and play football yourself, and you instead watch it on the TV?" It is the same thing. It's something that people enjoys and has fun and enjoys watching it. So it's just that the older generation, as usual, is afraid of everything new. This is something that I always try to force myself to, in order to stay young. To never be afraid of new stuff, and trying always to learn, even if sometimes you get under severe criticism. As long as the criticism is nicely put and gentle and respectful, I really welcome it. Except if people think too much of themselves and diss everything in order just to put you into bad faith. So that I don't enjoy it, and I actually try to eliminate it from my life as much as I can. Three trace, yes, I believe that we will see people arriving Formula One from sim racing instead of karting. I don't know in how many years, but I do believe it will happen. I will tell you, this is something I've been thinking about lately, and I think it's very important. And nobody talk about it. It's a little bit. I mean, and by nobody, I mean nobody in the usual commentators of real racing and stuff like that, or journalists and things like that. So we saw world-class champions from MotoGP going into racing, car racing. Valentino Rossi in GT3 with the Audi, Jorge Lorenzo in the Porsche Cup, and Pedrosa in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Now those guys are not even real racers. They are top of the top of the planet champions, real racers. They have won in bikes, alright, but still like the Formula One of bikes multiple times, and they have been champions multiple times. Dovizioso in DTM as well. So they are people that, and I have seen this, I mean, if you get people like them, you put them in anything, virtual, real, doesn't matter, they always go instantly fast, like crazy, instantly, okay? And you put them into the middle of the grids of GT3 racing, which is great racing, but it's not WEC, so to say, so they're not really, professional drivers everywhere. You put them into Porsche Cup, you put them into Super Trofeo, and they find themselves fighting in the middle of the grid at best, getting many tenths of a second gap from the top of the line, like Marcello or I don't know, the other guys. Sorry, right now I cannot remember all the names, but they are in the middle of the grid fighting, and these are top of the top. And then we saw that we put some of the sim races in just one race without any preparation as a gift because they won something, right? Into the Porsche Cup in Italy, or into testing GT3 cars like Zardier tested, Niels, and so on. We put them into the real cars in real races, and they also went to the middle of the grid, or it was, I can tell you, when it was private testing, they were a couple of tenths faster than the client driver. Those guys have no experience at all. You put James from McLaren into British GT and it wins races without any proper, experience, without a long history of winning everything, So that means that obviously those guys are incredibly talented, okay? But it also means that all the training they've been doing in the simulators for all these years, instead of doing go-karts, mini motos, mini bikes, Moto 2, Moto 3, etc., actually racing in real life for years, they never did that, alright? So racing in the sim racing, some way or in another way, helped them to be able to do pretty much the same performance as the top of the world champions in the same situation. So this is an amazing feat that those guys are able to do, and nobody from the journalists is talking about what esport is capable of finding talent out there. It's amazing. I mean, Jimmy Broadbent, All right. No experience at all. He has even less amount of track days than me, probably. All right. He's out there now, racing for real, and he's almost winning. I think he won one, but they disqualified, whatever. He's there with not even easy cars. I mean, he's driving a Praga. It's a very difficult car. He's there winning. Or if he's not winning, he's doing podiums. Crazy. Crazy. So, again, modesty apart, I do believe that sim racing is able to find amazing talent out there and keep it trained. Keep it trained. So, hey, think about it. Racing, motorsport is always coming down to money. That's a given. I mean, it is what it is. You cannot say we can go around the subject and talk about it for forever, for eternity. It will always stay a sport for rich people. Yeah, it's always like that. I mean, yeah. So yeah, that's unfortunately the situation. I guess it will never change. Anyway, what time is it? Oh my god, 1:30. That was a nice chit chat, though, right? I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. So yeah, capitalism. Yeah. So all right, guys. So I hope you had fun, and I hope you enjoyed our long chit chat tonight. Reminder for the last people still awake and listening. Yes, John Smith. We will be racing endurance racing on Sunday, starting at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon for the 6 hours of Spa, and we'll hopefully going to be able to continue doing this kind of discussions when Andy Mon is going to drive, and hopefully we're gonna have even more fun than tonight. So yeah, thank you again for joining. We will, I mean, if you can join us on Sunday, we will go through even more questions if you have them. But now it's really late, so it's time to get some sleep and get fresh for the endurance race on Sunday. So thank you so much, guys, for joining once more, and see you next time. Good night.